Dante562. What's going on, guys? I was reading an article today, earlier on today, now yesterday, about Sergio Martinez possibly challenging Canelo Alvarez, right? He's already showed interest, for quite some time, but today he said that he would love for Canelo to be his next opponent. But to nobody's surprise, Sergio Martinez, he doesn't believe that Canelo Alvarez would take the challenge. His exact words were he believes that Canelo would most likely, go after Cotto because that's much lower risk of a fight, and he would probably get paid more for it, right? See, this is my whole thing when it comes to Canelo Alvarez. And see, I'm going to give you guys my perspective. And I also, to be fair, I also want to give you the Canelo fans' perspective of how they try to counter the accusations that I make when it comes to Canelo Alvarez being one of the greatest duckers of all times, right? Now, there's so many things to talk about when it comes to Canelo. And what I want to start off with is, because I know what I just said right now, that is going to enrage Canelo fans to counterattack by saying, what about Floyd Mayweather? Floyd Mayweather is this big old ducker. Floyd Mayweather, he ducked people and this and all that, right? Now, Canelo fans, I agree with you. Floyd Mayweather has definitely ducked opponents in his career. Now, since you guys like to make the comparison between Floyd Mayweather so often, whenever someone says something about your fighter, let me break it down and show you the difference between Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez, right? First off, let's compare the first 25 fights that Floyd Mayweather had to the 40 plus fights that Canelo has today. In Floyd Mayweather's 25 fights, he fought far better competition. He fought real champions. He fought undefeated fighters that were actually favored almost to beat him within his first 25 fights. Okay? You need some names? Let me go and throw them at you. Floyd Mayweather fought Genaro Hernandez with only 17 fights under his belt. Now, as you guys can see, I put this graph up where you can see basically who the top fighters were in this division. Okay? This graph was put up while Floyd Mayweather was fighting the legitimate champion, Genaro Hernandez. Okay? Now, we already know that Floyd Mayweather, he beat Genaro Hernandez. He TKO'd Genaro Hernandez. He knocked out Angel Manfredi in the second round. And you see Robert Garcia in the middle. Robert Garcia at this time, admitted today that he didn't want to fight Floyd Mayweather back then. But Robert Garcia, he was very good. But he got knocked out by Diego Corrales. And we all know who knocked out Diego Corrales. But back to Genaro Hernandez. Now, just in case you guys don't know too much about Genaro Hernandez was the best lightweight in his division. Okay, he was the man to beat in his division. He was undefeated at 130. The only person he had ever lost to is when he jumped up in weight and he fought against an undefeated Oscar De La Hoya, right? But he was undefeated at 130. Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant, they threw a tirade of criticism when it came to Floyd Mayweather fighting against the far more experienced legitimate champion Genaro Hernandez. That's all they kept talking about is why would they put Floyd Mayweather in a fight like this against a serious champion with only 17 fights? He doesn't have the experience. He's most likely going to regret it, right? Floyd Mayweather, he beats Genaro Hernandez easy, knocks him out, fights him toe to toe, outboxes him, etc., right? His next opponent, the number one contender, Angel Manfredi. For those of you, like I said, if you didn't watch boxing around this time, I'm going to educate you. Okay, Angel Manfredi was one of the top lightweights in the world, or I'm sorry, I should say one of the top junior lightweights in the world at 130. Once again, Jim and Larry did the exact same thing. That they sitting there saying, I just think it's almost ridiculous for Floyd Mayweather to go from fighting for the title to coming right back and fighting against the number one contender, Angel Manfredi, right? Of course, Floyd Mayweather, he goes in there, he obliterates Angel Manfredi in 2 fucking rounds. Then you fast forward to about 8 fights later, he fights against the undefeated, power punching Diego Chico Corrales. A fight that many people, I would say almost more than half of the people, I believe that Corrales was almost the favorite to win that fight. All I know is the odds were very close. You can really say it was split down the middle, and a lot of people, they thought that Corrales was going to win that fight. Floyd Mayweather, he fought Gennaro Hernandez, Angel Manfredi, and Diego Corrales, all within 25 fights. Now, how many fights does Canelo Alvarez have? He has 40 plus fights, almost the exact same amount of fights that Floyd Mayweather has today, right? Now, to Canelo Alvarez's defense, this is what his fans would say to defend him. They would tell you, well, you got to understand, Canelo Alvarez didn't have an amateur background, right? He didn't have an amateur background. Therefore, he's going to build up his career with a lot of bums fighting, a lot of people basically, so that he could build his career up to make up for the lack of amateur experience, right? Now, that's a decent defense. The only problem I have with that defense is I know a lot of fighters today that also didn't have an amateur background. Let's take Kareem Mayfield, for example. Kareem Mayfield, he started his career off in his late 20s. And Kareem Mayfield, to this day, he has already fought 5 undefeated, tough-ass undefeated opponents. When I say undefeated, I'm not talking about some no-name hillbilly somewhere in Indiana or Nebraska. You feel me? I'm not talking about some weak-ass tomato can somewhere in the Midwest. I'm talking about serious-ass competition. Okay? Matter of fact, he's about to fight another tough opponent, a tough Mexican opponent, Herrera. He's about to fight him on HBO. I think it's this month or next month. I'm not sure. But anyway, that's one person. Sergio Martinez, another fighter who did not have an amateur background. And he has already he has already reached the pinnacle of top 5, pound for pound, the best fighter in the world. Okay? Jesse James Leija became, same story. He became a really good champion, fought a lot of competition. Those are people that I know right off my head. There are a lot of fighters, you feel me, that didn't fight in the amateurs, turned pro because they had the natural ability. Now, see, my thing is, for the Canelo fans that say that, traditionally, this and this and all that kind of stuff, this is all I'm saying. This is my only question to you. In your opinion, how many fights does Canelo Alvarez have to reach, or how many fights does he have to have? What number before you guys think that we can criticize him? Okay? Now let me also throw in another Canelo Alvarez perspective in defending, Canelo. Canelo fans would also tell you, well, hey, you got to understand, man. Canelo, look who he originally tried to fight. He tried to fight James Kirkland. That didn't work. Then he tried to fight Paul Williams. So he's really trying to fight tough competition, right? But see, this is when I tell you, don't let the smooth taste fool you, okay? Because what does that mean? What that means is It is more than damn obvious that Canelo Alvarez knows, just like we as deep boxing fans know, that Paul Williams has never been the same since he got knocked out by Sergio Martinez. He lost to Erislandy Lara, and they robbed Lara. He did look decent against Tashiaka or whatever the guy's name was. I forgot his damn name, but he looked decent against him. But we knew that that Paul Williams, he had a suspect chin after that knockout by Sergio Martinez, and it looked like ever since that fight, it looked like every time he got hit on the button, he was on shaky legs. You think Golden Boy didn't know this shit? And then you got James Kirkland. Now, James Kirkland, after, pulling off one of the fights of the decade, knocking out Alfredo Angulo, when he knocked out Angulo, there was really no talks of, James Kirkland possibly fighting Canelo Alvarez. Soon as James Kirkland has a bad performance against Carlos Molina, now and all of a sudden, they're ready to fight him. In 40 plus fights, Canelo has not fought one opponent that was young, around the same age he is, on the rise, up and undefeated coming up, or just someone, like I said, that was young, that would put him in a situation that would be perceived as somewhat as a pick'em fight. Canelo Alvarez, with 40 plus fights, he has never took on a challenge like that. Floyd Mayweather did, like I said, within 25 fights. When Floyd Mayweather fought Diego Corrales, they were virtually the same age. They were both undefeated. It was a pick'em fight. Same thing with Angel Manfredi. Angel Manfredi was around the same age as Floyd Mayweather, maybe a couple years older, but Angel Manfredi was perceived as a very dangerous opponent. Like I said, Jim and Larry, they gave Team Mayweather hell for taking the fight so early. Canelo Alvarez, he has not done this, and he has 40 plus fights. Canelo Alvarez is looking at this Miguel Cotto fight. He's basically looking at it as, this guy Cotto, he's already been knocked out multiple times by fighters much smaller than me, who don't hit anywhere near as hard as I do. So I think that Canelo is looking at Cotto as an easy opponent. He knows that he's going to be challenged, don't get me wrong, but he knows, because he's seen him get knocked out by Pacquiao, Margarito, hurt and wobbled by Floyd Mayweather. Canelo is like, if they can do that, I know damn well I would knock this guy out. So that's pretty much the reason why Canelo would, handpick someone like Miguel Cotto over about 6 top-notch, opponents in his own division. And don't get me wrong, once again, Miguel Cotto is a top-notch opponent, but it's just coincidental, or it's a coincidence that Miguel Cotto is the most flawed, the most vulnerable, of all of the other young lions. Of course, Cotto is a little long at the tooth when you compare him to somebody like Vanes Monterosian, Lara, Trout, and the list goes on and on. So, that's the reason why he would pick. That's the reason why I'm basically criticizing him for taking on Cotto and not the young lions when he himself is a young lion. Now, would I give credit to Canelo for taking that fight? Yes, I would give Canelo a lot of credit for taking that fight if Cotto beats Trout, which I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards Cotto because I don't know too much about Trout when it comes to him stepping up in this type of competition. So yeah, if Cotto knocks out or beats Trout, then I would love to see Canelo versus Cotto, right? But see, this is the problem that I'm having with Canelo Alvarez. Like I've said before, and you guys are going to hear me say this a lot of times if you watch my videos, every fighter has ducked someone before. Every fighter. We can go all the way back from day one of the sport to today. Everyone has ducked someone before, right? But the way that Alvarez is ducking people, as far as I'm concerned, and it has something to do with Oscar De La Hoya as well, because Oscar De La Hoya sees flaws in Canelo Alvarez, and Oscar does not want to have him exposed at such a young age. Like I said before, Oscar is living through Canelo. He doesn't want Canelo to make the same mistakes that he made. And I gotta give props. I don't think too high of Oscar De La Hoya's career, but I gotta give him props when I compare what Oscar De La Hoya did as opposed to what Canelo Alvarez is doing today. Okay, Oscar De La Hoya, less than 30 fights. Oscar De La Hoya, he was always stepping up in competition. Oscar didn't start ducking people till he started to lose. Once Oscar started to lose, and then he realized the judges ain't gonna always have his back. That's when he would start to duck people. And like I said, Floyd Mayweather, he did duck Miguel Cotto. Floyd Mayweather, he did duck Paul Williams. He did duck Margarito. But I believe that Floyd Mayweather, outside of Paul Williams, I believe everybody else, he made up for it. How did he make up for it? He made up for it by beating the man that beat the man that beat the man, right? You guys know that theory. You know that logic. Basically, he didn't fight Margarito, right? So let's look at the domino effect. Fucking Miguel Cotto fights Shane Mosley. Miguel Cotto beats Shane Mosley, right? Margarito knocks out Cotto. Mosley knocks out Margarito. Who beats Mosley? Floyd Mayweather beats him. And since I know the Mayweather haters, they're gonna use this excuse saying, yeah, but Mosley was old, so that didn't really count, and blah blah this and blah blah that. Let me go ahead and break that down and debunk that real quick. For those of you who don't pay attention, or maybe you do pay attention, but you want to convince yourselves that what you're saying makes sense, so the hate can flow, properly in your bloodstream. You feel me? Basically, Floyd Mayweather fought Shane Mosley right after Shane Mosley beat Antonio Margarito. The old logic, it doesn't even work in this situation for so many reasons. It doesn't work because, for one, Mosley was way more older than Margarito. Margarito was the young gun. Mosley obliterated Margarito. Matter of fact, a lot of people say that was his best performance in his whole career when it comes to Mosley. You know what I'm saying? You can argue it's either that one or it's his first win over Oscar De La Hoya. Either way, the old excuse is just an old ass excuse. Okay? Every time, like I said, every time one of y'all favorite fighters get beat, that's the first excuse everyone uses. Oh, it's because he's old. Oh, it's because he's old. You know what I'm saying? That's just another excuse. Floyd Mayweather had been calling out Shane Mosley since he was at 130 pounds. Okay? Shane Mosley, like I said, everyone has ducked someone. Shane Mosley, he ducked Floyd Mayweather. All right? When Floyd Mayweather was negotiating with Manny Pacquiao, this is around the time when Mosley jumped in the ring. Actually, that happened before the negotiations with Pacquiao. But Shane Mosley jumped in the ring, challenging Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, basically shunned him off. And the following week, Floyd Mayweather, instead of fighting Shane Mosley, he was in negotiations with Manny Pacquiao. Since Manny Pacquiao decided that he didn't want to take the random blood test, then basically Shane Mosley, then basically Floyd Mayweather, he basically said, okay, then I guess I'll fight Shane Mosley then, right? He beat Shane Mosley easy. So I feel in a way he made up for it. I won't say he made up for it completely. He would have got a lot more credit if he would have been the first person to beat Margarito. So he made up for part of it, but not for all of it. I agree. This is one of the reasons why I personally believe that Andre Ward is pound for pound number one and not Floyd Mayweather. Because Andre Ward, he fought every single top-notch pound for pound fighter in his division and completely cleaned out the division. But like I said, the point I'm making before I get distracted and start talking about too much stuff, there's too many things that bother me about Canelo Alvarez. And what, like I said, what's bothering me the most is Canelo Alvarez. Now he can call out Floyd Mayweather, pound for pound, number one, number two, wherever you want to put him. He can call out Floyd Mayweather, right? But when a Sergio Martinez calls him out, he has no interest in fighting pound for pound, number three or number four best fighter in the world, right? Now, I'm a little tired right now, so you got to excuse you hearing the groggy voice right now. But anyway, he didn't want to fight Martinez. He didn't want to fight Austin Trout. He didn't want to fight Lara. He didn't want to fight Carlos Molina. Okay? I mean, he didn't even want to fight Delvin Rodriguez, Austin Trout's opponent, right? What's killing me about all of the ducking that he's doing is while this man is sitting on a pedestal being babysitted, you got real men out there doing all the real fighting in his division. I mean, look at what's going on around Canelo Alvarez, guys. Now you got Vanis Matarosian fighting against Lara in a title eliminator. You got K9 Bundrich fighting against Andre Berto. Okay? You got Austin Trout fighting against Miguel Cotto. You got Carlos Molina willing to fight any of those fighters. And who is Canelo fighting? Somebody way down yonder in the 140-pound division. Damn ridiculous. And I know what the Canelo fans just said from what I just said right now. What they just heard right now, I should say. Oh, this is bullshit, man. Canelo wanted to fight Cotto. You can't give him credit for wanting to fight Cotto? Yes, I do give him credit for wanting to fight Cotto. But ducking 5 to 6 people to fight one? Come on, man. That's damn ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Now, for those of you who don't know, like I said just a minute ago, Matarosian versus Lara, that is a title eliminator. The winner of that fight will be the mandatory challenger for Canelo Alvarez. It was reported that Canelo, he has to actually accept that match or give up his belt and run the other way. So, do I think that Canelo is going to fight the winner of that fight? Hell fucking no. Okay? Hell no, he ain't going to fight him. As far as I'm concerned, if he didn't want to fight Lara before, now after Lara beats an undefeated fighter, or after Matarosian beats an undefeated Lara, what in the hell reason would Canelo take a chance to prove that he's the best fighter at 154? He don't want to prove that he's the best fighter. He want to prove that he's the biggest star. You feel me? But he don't want to prove that he's the best fighter. So no, I don't believe he's going to take that fight. I will tell you this though. If Canelo Alvarez takes that fight, I will give Canelo all the props in the world if he steps up and he takes that fight. The only way I see that fight, him taking that fight, is if Lara and Vanis, they both get knocked down. It becomes the fight of the year, and they both look vulnerable. They both show tremendous flaws that they never showed before. That's the only way I see Canelo taking that fight. But like I said, if Canelo takes that fight, if for any other reason than that, just to show that he's the best, I will give him tremendous props. This is what he needs to do. This is what he needs to do. Remember, guys, this is a sport. You feel me? In a sport, you go to the playoffs, you go to the Super Bowl, and you win it all. Okay? You don't play against the team that lost in the first round of the playoffs and say, oh, see, that's what makes me the best. No, it doesn't work that way. This is my thing. Now, once again, Canelo Alvarez fans, one of their favorite messages when someone says something bad about Canelo, oh, Canelo's going to beat the hell out of Floyd Mayweather. He's going to beat his ass, knock him out, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that, right? Let me tell you guys something. Excuse me, I just drank some water. Let me tell you guys something. Number one, Oscar De La Hoya's, Canelo Alvarez's own fucking promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, said that Canelo wasn't ready for Floyd Mayweather, right? Now, I will tell you guys this, and this may surprise a lot of you guys to hear me say this. Canelo Alvarez, no doubt, would give Floyd Mayweather one of his most difficult fights in his career, hands down, right? I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to tell you why. Like I said, you don't want to hear this, but I truly believe this. I'm not even sure that fight ever happens. You know why, guys? Because Floyd Mayweather is a small ass welterweight. Okay? He's a small ass welterweight. He has only jumped up to the junior middleweight division only 2 times in his whole career. And every time he moved up, he went up against bigger, stronger opponents. Okay? Oscar De La Hoya, regardless of what these excuse-making motherfuckers say, Oscar De La Hoya was in his prime. Oscar De La Hoya, he was 33 years old when they fought. You know what I'm saying? He had just had some impressive wins over, I believe it was Mayorga or Fernando Vargas. He had some impressive wins over them, right? And it's so funny because when he had impressive wins against them, that's when you heard the announcers and broadcasters saying, this is the Oscar De La Hoya of old. This is the young, strong. This is the Oscar De La Hoya that I remember. That's the kind of commentary, that was said when Oscar was obliterating opponents like this, right? But of course, as soon as he gets in the ring and he starts to lose, now all of a sudden he's old again, right? Same thing with Manny Pacquiao. Whenever their favorite fighter is losing, oh, he's old. It don't matter if he's 29 years old. Oh, he's getting old. Oh, yeah, he got old. That's what it was. Old, right? The old excuse, right? Oldest trick in the book is what it really is. But any damn way, I really don't see that fight happening. I would love to see it. That is one of the fights I definitely want to see, but I don't think it will happen, especially after the Cotto fight. When you look at how Floyd looked against Cotto, which he was impressive, but I just have a feeling that Floyd Mayweather, he could feel that power difference at 154. Like I said, he only fought in this division 2 times, you know, and he didn't really have a plan of even fighting at 154. He only fought at 154 because he was trying to make the fight with Manny Pacquiao, and Manny didn't want the fight, so his second option was Miguel Cotto, and he didn't want to fight Miguel Cotto at a catchweight because he knew there would be, excuses, right? There would be excuses. Oh, you only beat him because catchweight, blah, 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 So he said, fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fight Miguel Cotto at 154. I really feel that Mayweather, he felt that power. He felt that size advantage. And I don't think he wants to go back to 154. I truly believe that, So I mean, we'll see. We'll see if he's willing to do it. But it's too much of a advantage for Canelo because I've already said it before. And for those of you who think that I give Canelo a hard time, just keep in mind I did do a series. If you haven't been watching my videos, I did a 5-part series where I had somewhat of the the top 10 future pound for pound best fighters in the world, fighters that I believe in the future will reach top 10 pound for pound. And believe it or not, I had Canelo Alvarez in that list. Okay, so but I just keep it real. And so when you hear me talking a lot of shit, it's just me being real. I don't patty cake shit. I come with it very fucking realistic. Okay? So like I said, with Canelo Alvarez, I said before that I believe that Canelo is possibly damn near the hardest puncher in the entire sport. This man has tremendous power. All right. So you put somebody in the ring who's naturally a smaller fighter. You put him in a ring with someone who has natural power, natural size over you. And somebody like Floyd is not comfortable at 154. I can't see the fight happening. I really can't see the fight happening. Like I said, I would love to see it. I cannot see it happening. Canelo Alvarez, if Canelo doesn't get Floyd Mayweather, I feel sorry for Canelo because Canelo, he has so many opponents to face, but he wants to face none of them. See, this is one more thing that I want to say about the ideology of Golden Boy. The logic, what they are planning to do with Canelo. Canelo Alvarez has 40 plus fights. He has not fought anyone. What Canelo wants to do, in contrast to NBA, the NFL, he wants to basically skip the playoffs, right? Skip the tournament and go straight to the finals. Go straight to the Super Bowl. Go straight to the gold medal match without fighting any opponents to get there. This is basically what Canelo Alvarez is doing. Okay? Like I said, if he doesn't get Mayweather, and let's just say it plays out the way Golden Boy wants it to play out. Cotto beats Trout. Canelo goes in there and he knocks out Miguel Cotto. Now, granted, that would definitely bump Canelo up, on the top 10 list in his division. He will be looked at more serious. But if he does not get Mayweather, who's he going to fight next? Who's he going to fight? Is he going to fight Vanis Monterosian, Lara winner? Is he going to fight Sergio Martinez? Is he going to fight Carlos Molina? Is he going to fight Peter Quillen? You feel me? Who will he fight if he doesn't get Mayweather? Like I said, Mayweather is the only opponent that he wants. Is the only opponent that he wants, right? Every fighter that I can think of, even some of the other duckers that I've criticized, none of them have done what Canelo is attempting to do. Even Nonito Donaire, somebody I criticize very harshly. I've called him, a ducker for ducking Ring Diao. But at the same time, if you compare what Nonito did to what Canelo is doing, even Donaire, he went up the rankings. He fought a couple tough fights. Matter of fact, in some of those fights, he was considered the underdog. When Donaire fought against Vic Darchinyan, undefeated, hard-punching Vic Darchinyan, the same Vic that had already knocked out Donaire's older brother, Glenn Donaire, right? Donaire went in there and he knocked out Vic Darchinyan with all the odds against him, right? Then he had his fight with Fernando Montiel, which that, as far as I'm concerned, that competition wasn't as impressive because Fernando Montiel, he had already lost fights before. But the point I'm making is Donaire and many other fighters, they had to in some way go to the playoffs before they got to go to the finals. Canelo Alvarez is trying to skip the playoffs. Okay? So yeah, man, this is pretty much my take on Canelo Alvarez. I think I'm really interested to see what Canelo is going to do if plans don't play out as Golden Boy wants them to. We already know when Golden Boy had plans for him to fight other opponents, shit fell through, and Canelo was forced to retreat the 154-pound division and fight somebody 2 divisions south. So what is he going to do if he doesn't get Mayweather? What is he going to do if Cotto loses? It will be very interesting. One more thing that I want to say that I know a lot of Canelo fans will say to defend Canelo but you also have to understand, Golden Boy is the one that's doing this. Oscar is the one that's doing this to a certain extent. That could partially be true, but at the same time, we know that it's not fully true. The reason why I say that is because Broner is under Golden Boy as well. And if you guys been watching my videos, this is the reason why when I made my Broner video, I talked about Canelo too, because they're in the same promotion camp, right? That's why I brought it up. Broner has 23 fights, and Broner is already calling out everyone. He's not just calling out one fighter. He's calling out everyone. And Golden Boy is willing to put him in the ring with everyone. Why? For two reasons possible. For one, because they probably believe that Broner can beat these guys. And two, they probably don't believe that Canelo can beat a lot of the guys that are in his division. Okay? So it goes hand in hand when it comes to Canelo not fighting these fighters. It's Canelo's fault partially, and it's Golden Boy's fault partially. I mean, we know that the decision has something to do with Canelo as well. Because even when I was watching, I remember when I was watching the Trout versus Delvin Rodriguez fight, and believe it or not, Canelo was actually there to scout them out, and basically see, as far as I'm concerned, he was trying to look for an opponent. But realistically, I believe Canelo was trying to see if he could beat this guy, if Trout would be an easy opponent. So he went over there to scout him out. And remember, he's forced to scout this guy out. Why? Because all of his opponents that he chose to fight, they've already fallen out. But the point that I'm making is when Trout won that fight, they interviewed Canelo and asked him what he thought about Trout, about possibly fighting him, in his next fight. And it was interesting because in spite of what all the Canelo fans say, you know how Canelo fans, oh, Trout ain't nobody, Trout is shit, Trout is whack, and he ain't proved nothing, and blah, blah, this and that, and Canelo would knock him out. To the surprise of some of you Canelo fans, Canelo actually said that Trout is somewhat of a difficult opponent. He's a very good counterpuncher. And I remember I think it was Jim Gray, but Jim Gray was basically saying, are you thinking about possibly not fighting him because his performance wasn't that exciting? And Canelo, speaking, honestly, he said, well, you have to understand, styles make fights. When you have two fighters that are very technical and stuff like that, the action is not going to always be, booming. So in a way, he defended because he knows boxing. See, Canelo knows boxing, so he wasn't going off of that, oh, yeah, it wasn't that exciting, so yeah, that's why I'm going to not fight him because I need an exciting opponent. No, Canelo didn't say that. Canelo said that Trout is a very gifted opponent, and he's a very good boxer, very good counterpuncher, right? So this is words that are coming fresh out of Canelo's mouth himself, right? So we know that Canelo has something to do with not fighting certain opponents as well. Canelo knew that this was the type of opponent that would give him problems. And Canelo is thinking just like a promoter. He's trying to avoid tough competition. He's trying to fight only opponents that he knows that he can beat for sure. He does not want to take a chance, even if the guy only has a 20-30% chance of beating him. He doesn't want to take the chance. Okay? So that's pretty much all I got to say. I'm on to the next one.